Hey guys, I just got done interviewing Eddie Jackson from the Food Network, and it was an amazing conversation. He's done so much in his career, from the NFL to the Food Network to food trucks and a restaurant. Now he's developing products and a cookbook. Very inspirational story, and a lot has to do with hard work and dedication, and you guys know that's what I'm all about. So check out the conversation with Eddie Jackson.
I'm Eddie Jackson, former pro football player, next Food Network star winner, and barbecue fanatic.
Welcome to BBQ Blitz, and today we're in Little Rock, Arkansas. This city holds a special place in my heart. I mean, I played college football just down the road. But today, it's all about BBQ Blitz on this field. I found 3 of the Rock's baddest chefs to come out here and test their grill skills in our very own BBQ Blitz arena. Are you ready? Are you ready for some barbecue?
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Duce Raymond Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Eddie Jackson. Man, thank you so much for taking the time and doing the show with us today.
Hey, yeah, no problem at all, man. I mean, this is fun. I like get on here and just, talking barbecue and all things in between with good people.
You've got such an impressive background. I mean, from a guy growing up that loves food and loves sports. I mean, you were at the NFL, then you got on the Food Network. I'm like, oh man, I got to talk to him. This is awesome.
Yeah, you know what? Growing up, I had my 2 loves were sports and food. I grew up in a house where I had 2 chefs. My grandmother were chefs. So I grew up around food. And of course, I was out, I grew up around all kinds of sports with my dad and my uncles and things like that.
Where did you grow up?
Americus, Georgia.
Okay. So they had some barbecue. You grew up eating barbecue down there?
Not necessarily. So Americus, Georgia, very small town, right outside of Albany.
Okay.
That's where like Paula Dean is from.
Okay.
But no, not necessarily growing up around barbecue. We didn't do a lot of barbecue per se, like you would think of barbecue. We did kind of things like my grandfather had hogs and cows and things like that, and so that form of barbecue was digging a hole in the ground, old school, and he would take the lining out of a mattress, and that would be the grill, and that's how he would cook like whole hogs and cows and things like that. So not like what you think of barbecue right now.
Yeah, different. What's your all-time favorite food memory as a kid? Like, what was that one dish that grandma made or something that just really stands out to you?
It's a hard one because it's 2-parter.
Okay.
So my dad's, she made the most amazing caramel cake.
Ooh.
Yeah, she was an avid baker, and I just remember, 4 or 5 years old, just sneaking in the kitchen, trying to get a slice of that cake after I've already had like 3 slices. I have that recipe too, but yeah, that's just one of my favorite food memories. Now on my mom's side, I hung out with her a lot, my grandmother and my mom's mom a lot. And she was the head chef at the local high school.
Okay.
And I don't know if, people realize that, I don't know if people realize that, but back in those days, and especially in the South, all the food that was cooked at the cafeteria was locally sourced and cooked from scratch. So my grandmother would make biscuits every morning. I mean, I'm talking about like 1,500 biscuits. Handmade biscuits every morning.
Oh my God.
And I remember helping her go to the school, and I would help her make those biscuits. And so I tell people, it's actually in my book, I say it all started with a biscuit. And that's how I say that's what my love of food, that's where it came from.
Yeah, there's something to be said with making that type of volume. You really figure out the best way to do it. And I'm sure, I could just smell those biscuits coming out of the oven now.
And like my grandmother, how smells bring back memories.
Yes.
My grandmother always, I don't know if this is good or bad thing, but she always smelled like biscuits.
That smell thing is the real deal. And something that can bring me back to my childhood is when I grew up, my dad and my uncle would cook ribs on a Weber grill using charcoal. And they
That's
put
how
the
I
charcoal
started.
on either side and then put the ribs down the middle, and they kind of slow cooked them, but it was with charcoal, not wood, like traditional smokers use.
Yep.
And the smell of that pork cooking with the charcoal, and then you slather on some Sweet Baby Ray's at the end. And I mean, I can close my eyes and smell that. Whenever I cook that, it just brings me back so many memories of my dad and as a kid growing up. And the smell is a real connection to those memories for sure.
Yeah, the charcoal is an interesting thing there too, because that's, when I first started grilling with my dad on a Weber grill on our patio back in the day, all we used was just straight charcoal. It wasn't any wood. So that is a very, for me still, is very nostalgic type of smell. When I just smell just like pure grilling, like just charcoal burning, is like, oh, I remember that.
I love it. So then growing up after like high school, you knew you wanted to be in the pros. Was that like a goal for you?
That was always an ultimate goal of mine, and when I grew up in the, I'm an 80s baby, but, growing up in the 90s is when I was really getting involved in sports and like junior high and high school and things like that. You had your Michael Jordans and Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice.
I was born in 81, so I looked up. We're like just 1 year apart. So, man, I'm right there with you.
Exactly. So, and I did all these sports. I played basketball. I ran track. Track was actually my best sport. And I played football. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, whether it was going to be a professional football player or go to the Olympics or something like that. But I always had high aspirations of doing sports or something like that after I finished college.
Was it one of your parents or a coach or something that kind of instilled some discipline in you at an early age? Because to get to that level, even close to that level, you have to have some serious discipline.
Oh, yeah. So my dad, I was raised predominantly by my dad. I moved to Dallas, Texas when I was 10 years old, and that's where my dad was at. My dad is a military guy. So he's an Army guy. So you could only imagine the type of discipline there was in my house. And my dad was also an athlete as well. But yeah, so, being raised in a military type of home, was all kinds of structure and definitely taught me how to put in some hard work.
Yeah, for sure. So bring me back to those early NFL days. You actually went in undrafted.
Yeah.
And then how did you you went to Carolina first, is that correct?
Yeah, so, throughout my college career, I had a really great college career, in track and football. And, I was an All-American in track and really good at football. So coming out of college, I was projected actually to be a third-round pick. But a few weeks before the draft, I was training and I completely, ripped my hamstring.
Oh, jeez.
So I couldn't do any of the pro days or anything like that. So, you see how it happens. Like, my stock just dropped and dropped and dropped. And so I ended up becoming a free agent, and I went to Carolina. And so in order to make the team as a free agent, you're already at the bottom of the list. You got to really impress the coaches and stuff to make a team as a free agent. And, just going back to what you said, that hard work being instilled in me through my dad and raised up in kind of that military type of household. When I stepped into practice, every day was like, okay, I got to beat everybody in front of me every single day. And literally that's what I did. I worked my butt off.
How old were you then?
I was 21, 22.
Yeah. And then you had 2 years in Carolina, and then you got traded to the Patriots?
No, I got traded to the Dolphins. So I went to
the Dolphins.
I went to the Dolphins after that. Funny story is that my coach when I played for the Dolphins was Nick Saban.
Okay.
Yeah, so, Nick Saban at Alabama, all the championships and things like that. But before he went to Alabama, he was a coach in the NFL after he left LSU. And
okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was crazy times. He only stayed for 2 years. He wasn't cut out for the NFL. He was more suited for the college game. But yeah, so I had a really good time, and it was a blessing in disguise because that's where I met my wife at, is in Miami.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so and that was what I met her. We've been together 20 years. So
Wow,
if I never would have
congrats,
got
man.
traded to Miami, I would have met my wife.
Yeah. But then you did end up on the Patriots in 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Now, was Tom Brady there at that time?
Oh, yeah. So I played with the greatest football team there ever was. So I played on the team where we had Randy Moss.
Wow.
Yeah, Teddy Bruschi and Tom Brady. I mean, Vince Wilfork. We went 16-0, but that's the year that we lost the Super Bowl to the Giants when David Tyree caught the ball on his head.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. So, working with guys like Tom Brady, did you learn some leadership skills? What was it like that's like, being on the court with Michael Jordan. I mean, that's 100%. Just amazing.
Yeah, to this day, I mean, like throughout, all the teams and, situations I've been in, I've never seen anyone work like Tom Brady. Quick story is that when I actually got traded from the Dolphins to the Patriots, I had actually just torn my ACL. I tore it in my last game with the Dolphins.
Okay.
And so I got traded to the Patriots, and I had to do my rehab in Massachusetts, in Walpole, where the stadium was. And so I left. I'll never forget this. I left like April 15th. I was in Miami. I had on a tank top and some shorts. I get on the plane. I land in Boston. It's like 20 degrees, like 2 feet of snow, and I'm walking through the airport. I had never been. I had no idea. And I was like, "Holy shit, what's going on?"
That's a different world up there.
So the next day, I have to start my rehab. I have to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, remember, This is off season. All the guys are gone. They all, back, away on vacation. And I pull in, and Tom Brady is there in the off season at 5 o'clock in the morning watching film. He's working out. True story. I'm like, oh wow, this is how it's supposed to be.
He's the real deal.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
Now, after losing the Super Bowl, I mean, that must have been devastating, but I got to imagine you took a lot away from it, like, for the rest of your life, because when something like that dramatic happens, you have to try to find some positive, like, well, how can I move forward after something like that happens,
Yeah, but the thing about it is it was more about seeing and actually being a part of what it takes to get to the Super Bowl. Like, the Super Bowl is like the ultimate goal. It's not just about sports. It's about anything could be your Super Bowl, what I mean, individually. So just the work that it took, through, during the season, and the work that it took before the season, and the years and things that then the hard work that it took to even get to that level. That's more so what I took away from it. Obviously, I was very disappointed that we didn't win, but just, to sit back and reflect on, like, wow, like, I made it to the Super Bowl. And, like, you think about all the days and all the work and running in the rain and, like, all these things, like, and it paid off.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. As you were saying that, I just had, like, the Rocky montage going through my mind where you're, like, training. Yeah. And then, that is such an awesome experience. So then you had another awesome experience. And how did you get into, did you know after football, like, did you kind of see what you wanted to do? Football's not going to last forever. What did you have in mind? And then how did you get into the food TV space, so to speak?
So I cooked my whole life. Like I said, I grew up around food. So cooking was something that was very close to me. So I would cook all the time. And so when I was in college, actually, I would cook every day. And once I moved off campus, we moved off campus. And so I had a roommate. We had a 2-bedroom apartment. So I would cook every day. And then so, word got out. So all of a sudden I had more friends.
Yeah, of course.
More friends all of a sudden. So everybody would come over to my house and we would eat. But back then, it's not like now where these college guys are making money. I didn't have any money. I was having living off of I think $1,100 Pell Grant per semester. And so my dad was like, "Why do you keep asking for money?" I was like, "Well, I'm cooking and stuff like that, And He was like, cooking for who? And so I told him, a lot of the guys come over. He was like, well, you need to charge them. So I would, barbecue and cook and, just like family style. And then I would charge the guys $5. I would make little styrofoam containers. And then I started, hustling meatloaf and potatoes out the back window.
That's awesome.
They probably thought I had a drug house.
Yeah, right?
Guys was waiting outside my window like, you getting more than meatloaf?
Oh, man. And then, so I remember hearing that your wife actually signed you up for MasterChef without even telling you about it. Is that true?
Yeah. After I retired and I was still in Miami, trying to figure out exactly what I want. I knew I wanted to do something with food, but I just didn't know what. I grew up. A couple people in my immediate family had restaurants, so I'd been in restaurants and all different types of things, and so I didn't really know if I wanted to go the restaurant route. So I started a catering company.
Okay.
So I just started catering for some of my teammates that I still knew from the Dolphins and things like that. And a lot of guys during the off season, they actually lived in Miami, people that I knew. So it started out as me just saying like, hey, I'm getting my feet wet in this catering business. If you got an event that's not too big, I'll do it for free. You just cover the cost of food. And so that's really how I learned the catering ins and outs of the catering business. So I did that for maybe about a year, and then I turned into an actual business where I was like, all right, now I got to charge you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so, that ended up going really, really good. And so the story is that I would do all these catering events, and my wife she was a manager at Asics, the shoe store, Asics. And her boss that was over her GM, was a huge MasterChef fan. So whenever I would have these events, she would always take the leftovers to work and and all the employees and stuff would eat. And so one day the guy was sitting there eating and he was like, dude, Eddie can cook his ass off. He needs to be on MasterChef. So as a joke, they went online and enrolled me in MasterChef. I had never really watched the show or barely even knew who Gordon Ramsay was. They ended up forgetting that they did it. So maybe like a month later, I was in the gym working out, and I get a call from a California number, and I'm like, who's this? Answer, and they was like, oh, this is casting director for MasterChef. We wanted to see if you were coming down for the audition. I was like, for who? Hung up. That happens like 2 or 3 times. Later on in the day, I get home, and, talking to my girlfriend at the time, which is my wife now, I'm like, hell, the funniest thing happened today. She's like, oh, my gosh, they called you?
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's how I obviously called back, blah, 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 and I ended up doing the audition and then killed the audition, and then that's how I got on MasterChef. But I had no intentions of being on TV cooking or anything.
And then after MasterChef, you thought that was like you could see yourself doing something like that, so you went to Food Network Star. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah. So my thing is like I'm always trying to one-up a situation. And plus, I'm like business type of guy. I went to school for business, so I'm always thinking like, how can I do more, be better, one up this thing? So when I was on MasterChef, when I got back, I was like, man, I think I could do this TV thing,
right?
But not like cooking. I was more so thinking like I could be Gordon Ramsay, I could host and I could cook on TV, like and be like a star on TV. That's how I was thinking. And so, but I always watched Food Network, and one day coming home from a catering gig, I was sitting on the couch and I was like, I think I just made me something to eat or whatever. And I was watching Food Network, and it's one of those late night commercials where it's like, if you think you could be the next star of Food Network, and then they show like a picture of Bobby Flay and Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
And that's what then it's like, try out, but Food Network star. And I was like, I could do that.
What's up, guys? I'm Eddie Jackson, former professional football player turned chef and personal trainer.
It has so much finesse. I love it.
What's up, guys? I'm Eddie Jackson.
I don't know if I care what he's making. I'll watch anyway. The avocado's delicious.
I like it too.
And the winner is Eddie Jackson.
Eddie Jackson.
And I signed up.
So I totally remember you on that show because I was a Food Network junkie. Back when we were in culinary school, that's when they had all the Iron Chef America was just coming out, the Food Network Star, and Bobby Flay was, just taking off like crazy. And we watched all the time. And so the funny story for me about Food Network is so that was the time when they were still I think you were a second or third season or something like that. And then they started like going out to the culinary schools to try to recruit people to do the show. And so they came to Kendall when I was in culinary school. They interviewed us. They had us fill out all the paperwork. And I tell people I'm still waiting for my call back 15 years later, but they're not calling yet. But and the Food Network is different now than it was. It's still amazing.
Yeah, it's
but
totally
back then
different
there
now.
was no social media. And to watch food content, that's all there was the Food Network. And it was just like crazy. I mean, as a culinary student, we were like glued to the screen. Like I said, especially for like Iron Chef America. I just remember watching episode after episode of that stuff.
I love that show. Yeah, Food Network has definitely changed, but that's just like with everything else. There's more, half the stuff that you see, watch, and get your information from is, I would say more than half is on your phone and social media and like things like that, streaming services. So yeah, back in the day, Food Network was all we had. I would watch Food Network all day long.
It was way different now than it was back then. But I mean, it's still, and what's cool now is you see all the personalities you like on their socials. Giada and Bobby, they're all like posting on their socials. It's cool because growing up with that, or like back when I was, in my 20s and just watching that all the time, and now seeing them more in like real life in their own house and stuff is really cool.
Yeah, back then it was just magazines. You would only see like pictures in a magazine.
Yeah,
now you can see them actually doing stuff. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So you did Food Network Star, and then what happened? How did you get more gigs through Food Network, and what is it like working in the Food Network?
Yeah, so after I won Food Network Star, I got the reward was the whole thing was like you'll become the next star, or you'll be a part of the Food Network family. And I don't think a lot of people remember, but that's how Guy Fieri got on Food Network. He was the first winner of Food Network Star. And so my very first show that I got was called BBQ Blitz.
Okay.
Little Rock, the rules are very, very simple. Just like a football game, you got two halves. In this first half, it's all about the meat that made you famous. You brought it here today, and I'm challenging you to transform it into a knockout barbecue dish. I want to see you use this grill and that smoker. But one of you are going to get sacked. The remaining two are going to move on to the second half with an opportunity to win $5,000. Now, creativity, presentation, and flavor. That's what I'm looking for. And your time starts now!
Yeah, and I still to this day think that was the most amazing show that should have been on for years and years. Because after that show, they canceled it after 1 year. But after that, you started seeing all these other barbecue shows that was basically based off of that concept that we had. So I was traveling around the country, and I would put on these barbecue competitions with like 3 or 4 people from that city, right? But it was like in iconic places in that city. You know what I mean? And then I would bring in judges that had some type of tie to that city, also paired with a culinary expert. And so it was so much fun. I went to Miami. We was in Kansas City, Dallas. We went to, I think, like Birmingham, Alabama, and Charlotte, North Carolina. So do you remember, it was a spinoff, like you said, there was a whole bunch of shows after that like that, Barbecue Brawl with Shannon Ambrosio. Brawl and like Barbecue. I was like, man, you canceled my show, but then you just made other shows that's exactly like it.
I was actually on one of those episodes, but it's just like you were explaining, like they went to like a specific town, and then they had judges from Chicago, and we made like a Chicago influenced corn dog, and that was my only experience with that type of TV. But it was like, now for social media, I shoot 3 videos in 4 hours. That was 2 days for 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so crazy, the different levels of how they film, and walking to the door, no, go back, walk it in again, I mean, way more than I do.
Yeah, they put it all together. Yeah, it takes 2 days. It takes, when I film my stuff, some days we'll film from 8 in the morning till 7 in the afternoon for 30 minutes of content.
Yeah, that's crazy. And so what's going on now with the Food Network? You're still working with Food Network.
Oh,
you
yeah.
do some other shows. There's a few different ones going on. What's that?
Yeah, so I've been with Food Network now since 2016, 2015, 2016, something like that. So almost 10 years, 9
Wow.
years. And so I think I lost count of how many shows I've done. The latest shows that I have is Out Chef, and I do all of my holiday stuff still. And so yeah, it's just been good. It's been a blessing, man, to go from BBQ Blitz. You know, at one point with Food Network, I had 4 shows, and so I was just nonstop busy. And so right now, I'm still with the Food Network. We're in the process of coming up with like 2 ideas, 2 new shows, or at least try to get those shows out there. But they're keeping me busy, and I love it.
Now, I have always looked up to Bobby Flay, and I think that, you know, he's been like an OG on the Food Network for years. I don't even know how long, but I remember like even while I was in grade school, my uncle had like the satellite dish TV, and he was cooking on TV with that old guy. I can't remember.
Yeah,
Chilling
it's
and
called
Grilling.
Grilling and Chilling.
Grilling and Chilling.
Grilling and Chilling. That's when Bobby Flay was pudgy.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bobby Flay. Hi, I'm Jack McDavid. Welcome to Grilling and Chilling.
And, but I mean, just kind of like how we were talking about dedication and hard work before. I mean, he has to have just the mindset of like dominance to be that crazy on Food Network, the restaurants he has, everything else he's working on. What was it like working with him? And did he ever talk to you offline or give you advice, or what's your relationship with him?
So in the food space, you know, Bobby Flay is someone that I've always looked up to, kind of like a mentor to me. Really good friend of mine. But the thing about Bobby is that he's almost like the Tom Brady kind of thing. He is such a hard worker. So one of the things, after I won Food Network Star, you know, Bobby Flay was one of the mentors on Food Network Star. And so that year I did a show with him. It was called Christmas at Bobby's House, and he like invited me in to be on this show. And that was like my first year with Food Network. So I'm there with like Jeffrey Zakarian and Sonny Anderson, Bobby Flay, all these people that I've been watching on, you know, just months before on Food Network. Now I'm in the studio, in the kitchen, cooking with them. And so from then on, me and him became really, really close. And I would come to him for advice, or he would give me tips how to be better on camera, you know, here and there. And so this one time, you know, I was here, and one of my, I'm a trainer as well, so I used to own this gym. And one of my clients' son was a huge Bobby Flay fan. The kid was like 10. So she said, "Hey, Eddie, I'm going to New York, and we have reservations at Bobby's restaurant." She said, "Is there any chance that you could get Bobby to, you know, stop by?" You know, and I'm like, you know, such a crazy song. I was like, I can try. So I texted him, and I never heard back from her. And the next time I saw her, she was like, went to the restaurant, and like it was a gato, so you could see into the kitchen. He was in there cooking that day. And he came out and sat with them and talked with them, like gave the kid, you know, hooked the kid up with some free, you know, whatever the desserts were, you know, that type of thing. Took pictures with him. I was like, wow.
That's awesome.
Just made that kid's whole day.
No kidding. And then some, I'd
That's
say.
the type of guy
That's
he is,
awesome.
really.
Oh, man.
But yeah, me and him talk all the time. And he sends me, like, he does stuff like this. He sends me like this. He sends me like handwritten notes. Can you see that?
That's classy.
Like,
Very cool.
who sends handwritten notes?
Yeah.
This guy does.
Yeah. That's so cool. So I want to talk, two more things I want to talk about is the fitness side and then the restaurants and everything else you've got going on.
Yes.
So the fitness side. So for me, I grew up in the restaurant space, hospitality, and started drinking and doing drugs. And I got up to like 300 pounds at one time. And so in the last 8-9 years, I've really changed my whole lifestyle. And, you know, it's part of what I do every day is go to the gym, be conscious about what I'm putting in my mouth. And it's just something that it has brought me a lot of happiness. And hopefully I'll be able to live longer and be with my kids longer and my wife and all that. But, fitness has probably been kind of part of your life for a long time because you were in sports and everything like that.
Yeah.
How do you look at fitness now as, in your 40s, and what's different about how you train and how you eat now versus like when you're 22 and playing football for the, NFL?
Yeah, so fitness is something that's been a part of my life for a long time. My dad was my actual first trainer. So my dad is a trainer as well. And he used to own a gym in Dallas. And so, so my dad, I'm telling you, my dad's a big part of, why I was able to achieve the things I was able to achieve when it comes to sports and things like that. I mean, we would wake up on Saturday mornings and go to the gym. Then when other kids was hanging out, like I would go and run, and my dad would have me running hills. And so fitness has always been this thing that I've always loved. I used to own a gym here in Houston, and now I actually own a couple of franchises, Hot Works franchises, if you've ever seen them.
I haven't heard of that, but it's probably not up here.
Yeah, they're everywhere. So you may have one. Maybe not where you are, but there's definitely one in Chicago.
What is it called? Hot Works?
Hot Works. It's an infrared training studio. But anyways, I get it. So fitness has always been something that that's been a part of me. And so the thing about it is that what I tell people, even though I'm not this healthy cook, I'm not one of these healthy guru cooks, but what I tell my people, used to tell my clients, and how I live my life is like knowing how to eat, what to eat, and things like that. And so I try to train them to be smarter about, what they eat. Basically, you can't eat bad stuff all the time. You got to have balance in your life. And I think that's not just with fitness and food, but that's just with everything. Everything in life is all about creating a balance. And so that's my approach to being healthy.
Are there things you try to stay away from, or like that are no foods, or is there some method or methodology to the way you eat? Is it lower carb or higher protein, or what are some things that you use to kind of, balance out some of the good stuff you do eat?
Well, for me is that, every person is different. But what works for me is I work out, at the very least 5 times a week. And I don't train like I used to train when I was, in my 20s and 30s. Now it's just about keeping the body moving, maintaining my strength. I'm not in there, with plates on the a lot of compound movements, as we get older, the knees, the hips, and all these different things start to get stiff. So keeping the body moving is more how I train. When it comes to food, I eat. I love some food. And so what I like to do, what works for me is I fast. So I do intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So when I have my window, I eat what I want to eat, without getting ridiculous. I'm not eating, fried chicken every day. But what I'm saying is that the intermittent fasting works for me, so that when I'm able to eat, I'm not, worried about like, how's this going to affect me, because my body is ready for that fuel, and it just burns it really quickly.
What's the timeline that you use? You stop eating at what time and start at what time?
Yeah, so I do 16 and 8, so I have an 8-hour window. So basically, I just skip breakfast. I don't eat breakfast. I do wellness shots in the morning, which I'm actually coming out with a wellness shot. I started a supplement company, so I'm coming out with a wellness shot. So my turmerics, my gingers, and all these different things that kind of gets the body going. It helps the organs and things like that. So I do that in the morning, and I don't eat until an actual meal until like 1 o'clock. So from like 1 to 8 is my window, and you kind of give you more freedom to kind of eat what you want.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
With respect, because I have some clients that I had on doing this, and they were getting ridiculous in their 8-hour window. I was like, that doesn't mean now go get a number 11.
You're like, come on, brother. Oh man, I can imagine. Yeah, you still have to acknowledge the calories at some point.
You still got to be smart. The point is that when you cut out the breakfast, you're taking away at least 600 calories right there, depending on what kind of breakfast you have for your daily intake. So then you have that small window where you can, after you eat one meal, you're pretty much full until, a few hours later, eat another meal, and then you're done for the day.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What do you got going on right now? Do you have a restaurant, some food trucks? Give me the lowdown there.
Yeah, so I just recently sold I had Rose Hill Beer Garden I had for years that I built. That place was my baby. I built that from scratch. So
Okay.
out here in Cypress, I took where I live here in Houston I found this almost 3-acre plot of land. I always had this idea. I didn't want to open up a restaurant. So I wanted to do something cool, like an ice house with food trucks. Back then when I started, that was like the thing. Now you see them all over the place. So this was maybe like 10 years ago. And now I was the first one in Houston. It was actually the biggest beer garden in the state of Texas when we first opened up for a few years. But anyway, so yeah, I ended up, I had like 8 food trucks. I had it was a barn. They had a bar, and we had stages for live music, over a course of 3 acres. And so after about 7 years or 8 years of having it, I just sold it last year because it was getting too busy, and you know how it is in the restaurant industry. And it was just me. And I had like 20 employees, but it was a lot to keep up with. We did really, really good. We were very successful, but I wanted to do other things and spread my wings a little bit. And so I felt like that was the best way, is trying to get from underneath that so I could open up other ventures and be able to. But I still have all my trucks. I have Eddie's Burgers, which is a craft burger place. Rose Hill Tacos is where I do like these crazy tacos, like bulgogi bean tacos and things like that. So not just your traditional tacos. And then I have a barbecue. Obviously, I do the barbecue as well. And so we're going to be opening up a barbecue place here in Houston in the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's called Taste My Meat.
I love some good barbecue, man.
No,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So I actually have. Let's see. This sounds so great. You'll appreciate this. I own like 12 smokers.
Oh yeah.
So I have 2 J&R Oilers.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I have 2 of those, and then I have like custom pits. I mean, like huge Texas style pits that I've collected, and like my wife's like, "You have a problem." I'm like, "No, I do not. I don't have a problem."
Oh no, that's awesome. I think that there's so much you can do with barbecue too. I mean, a lot of what I do is trying to pair traditionally smoked meats with different international flavor profiles.
Yeah.
And we just filmed it yesterday, a jerk chicken recipe. And I know you got some Caribbean roots and used to go down there all the time. What's your favorite what's the secret to jerk chicken in your mind?
Yeah, so my wife is Jamaican. So
wow.
Yeah, my
now
wife is Jamaican. So that's how, and my first food truck was called the Caribbean Grill, because when I met my wife, I had never had or heard of jerk chicken or like escabeche fish, all these Caribbean, like specifically Jamaican dishes. And I'll never forget, we had been together like 2 years, and she took me to Jamaica, and her aunt owns a restaurant there. And I bit into that jerk chicken. And I was like, holy crap, where has this been my whole life? It was just an explosion of
It's all
flavors.
over, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, you could taste the Bob Marley in the chicken. As soon as I took that first bite, I was like, yeah, man. But the kid and I perfected how to make it. I would go back to Jamaica and basically kind of like stage in her restaurant. And so I picked up a lot of the flavors and learned the cuisine. And so I opened up a truck that was based off of that. But the key to a good jerk chicken is a couple of different things. I would say the Scotch bonnets,
Yep.
green onions, and then obviously they call it pimento seeds. So authentic Jamaican is made with pimento wood, but we can't get pimento wood, here in the States. But the allspice is what we call it, that you kind of put into the mix is what gives it that unique kind of fragrant type of vibe to it.
And then it's always like cooked over open fire. There's that char aspect to jerk chicken too.
Yeah, really jerk chicken is supposed to be, people think that jerk chicken is more of a grill, like, high and fast. But real jerk chicken is cooked very low and slow. So in Jamaica, they cover their coals to where it's not actually direct heat. So the chicken cooks really, really slow. And then, that all the fat starts to run down and it starts to slowly caramelize. And so that's how I learned how to make great jerk chicken.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny you said that. I
Well,
love jerk
what's
chicken.
next then, Eddie? What else? You got something else cooking. You got the drinks, those morning shots. That sounds good. What else is going on?
The funny thing is that I've been doing this for years. I make these shots, these wellness shots for me and like my family and stuff, you know, and make a batch of it every week, and then we take a shot of it every morning. And so years ago, my wife was like, "You should, you know, manufacture this." And I was like, "Nah, nobody does that. Does this stuff." And now I've been seeing all these companies that's doing it. And I'm like, holy crap, I've been doing this for years. So I called my agent. I was like, "Yo, you remember those shots I told you I make?" I was like, "We need to manufacture that because these people are making money selling the same thing that I've been doing for years." So that turned into a whole kind of product line. So the first thing that we're going to be coming out with are these wellness shots, and then from there, different chef-inspired, chef-curated like proteins. So curate the flavors and get it just right. And so kind of like Robert Irvine's protein bars.
Yeah.
But so I'm coming out with my own line of wellness products.
So at this stage of your life, you got success from the NFL, the Food Network, your own businesses. What keeps you going? What are some ways to think about, like, how do you want to be known as, or what do you want to take away from your life's work?
Yeah, so for me, I have two very young kids. So my son is 6 and my daughter is 2, and they're my everything.
All right, Trey, what is this picture that you just drew?
I drew you against Bobby Flay cooking of a dish, of a yummy dish.
Why is Bobby Flay orange?
Because sometimes she's orange, but I didn't have an orange crayon. So, thank you. Bye.
Wow.
And so I grew up, like, man, my dad grew up very, very poor. And so, you know, and then like my dad, I didn't have much growing up either. Me and my dad and my sister stayed in like a little small apartment and things like that. And so the whole point is that I feel like each generation should get a little bit better and better. And so my dad obviously did a little bit better than my grandfather. And so I'm doing better than my dad. And so I want to instill these things that I've learned through my dad and myself into my son. And I want to be able to leave them just kind of like your dad, you know, your dad, like leave them something, leave them a legacy, leave them something where they have a good starting block in life. You know, my dad left me a little bit of something to give me a little bit of a head start. You know, not as much as most, but it's better than what he was given. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I want to have that opportunity to do that with my kids.
And 6 also, and 2, like, you got a lot of chicken left on that bone. That's for sure.
But now for me more so is that how I kind of see myself and like what really I thrive off of is that if I say I'm going to do something, I want to see it through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like if I'm going to do something, I'm not going to do it half-ass. You know, if I'm going to try to make it to the NFL, I'm going to give it my all. When I said I wanted to do something with food, I'm going to give it my all and see where it takes me. And like, you know, whether, you know, something happens and I, you know, not able to do something with food, I always try to position myself to make sure that I'm keeping myself busy and with those things, giving it my all.
That's so good to hear. And it's, I think that your story is so cool because it's something that as a kid, everybody thinks about. I want to be in professional sports. And like, if you're into food, I want to be on food TV. And you went through the process and you maintained humility and you're just like a cool, nice guy, you know, and that's so refreshing to hear. And I mean, same thought process I have. I want to build something so I have something to leave down to my kids. And I told my youngest daughter, if your 2 older sisters don't want to take care of the business, then you have to. And she's 11 years old. She's so cute. She goes, Dad, I don't know how to run a business. I said, don't worry about it. I'll help you. I'll teach you.
Yeah.
And
that's something that's really important to see, you know, that you totally understand where I'm coming from, man. I don't think there's anything better than to be able to leave your children with something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. Eddie, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate the time. I look forward to seeing what you're doing in the future. And if you're ever in Chicago, come look me up. I'm right by the airport, so you could stop in, get some great barbecue. I'd love to show you around our place.
All right, so when I start my podcast and do my interviews, you got to promise to let me interview you.
110%, without a doubt. And when you open your barbecue, so we're opening a new barbecue restaurant next year, hopefully, with construction and everything. That's the plan.
Yeah.
It's going to be the first ever Duce's Wild restaurant.
What?
And then I'm going to invite you to... Yeah, I'm going to invite you to the opening, and then you invite me to your opening at your place.
All right, buddy. I promise, man. I will definitely be there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right,
buddy.
Eddie,
thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. If I can ever do anything or you're in Chicago, look me up. You can DM me or whatever.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. We'll chat soon.
All right. Appreciate it.